Git and GitHub may look confusing at first. In this video, we'll make them simple and practical.
Tracking a software project without a dedicated system looks like this: a sprawling, chaotic web of files that eventually organizes into a clean, linear grid. If you've ever found yourself managing a folder full of files labeled Final v2 Really Final, you have already seen this problem firsthand. To prevent that chaos, engineers use Git. One common interview question asks for the difference between Git and GitHub. Git is the version control software running locally on your machine. GitHub is a cloud platform that hosts Git repositories, so you can collaborate with a team. This diagram shows the 4 specific zones where your code resides at any given point: the working directory, the staging area, the local repository, and GitHub. Many developers struggle with Git because they try to memorize terminal commands in a vacuum. To avoid that, we are going to focus on how a file physically moves between these 4 locations as you work. Step 1 is initialization. Running the command git init creates a hidden folder called .git inside your project directory. This tells the software to start internally tracking any changes made to the files in that folder. As you write code, you will use git status to see which files have been modified. Before tracking everything, you create a .git ignore file. This prevents Git from ever tracking or uploading sensitive items, such as private API keys or large system files. In our flowchart, git add moves a file from the working directory to the staging area. This pre-screen lets you select specific files. Then, git commit moves them into the local repository. Every commit needs a message explaining the exact changes made. This local loop, adding and committing, provides a safe, isolated environment. You can experiment and fix errors on your own machine before any other developer sees your work. To review that history, the git log command prints a list of every previous commit. If you need to see line-by-line changes between your current work and a previous save, you run git diff. When building software, the main branch holds the version of the code that is actually live and running. Because of this, engineers avoid doing experimental work directly on main. Instead, we use git branch to create a new, divergent path of nodes, and git switch to enter that space. Branching creates an isolated workspace. It gives you the freedom to build a new feature or try a different design, without the risk of breaking the code that is currently in production. While a commit stays on your computer, running git push uploads that data to the team's remote server on GitHub. If you are joining a project that is already in progress, you use git clone. This downloads a full copy of the remote repository to your local machine, so you can begin contributing immediately. One common interview question asks to distinguish between fetching and pulling. Git fetch downloads new data from the remote server for you to review. Git pull downloads that data and immediately attempts to merge it into your local files. This collision represents a merge conflict. This happens when 2 developers edit the exact same line of code in the same file, and Git cannot determine which version should be kept. To resolve this, you manually open the file, select the correct code, and create a new commit to finalize the state of the file. These remote commands act as the connection between your machine and the rest of the team, allowing multiple developers to contribute their individual work to a single shared codebase. If an urgent bug interrupts your work while you have unfinished changes, you can run git stash. This temporarily hides your modified files, giving you a clean working directory to address the emergency. If you make a mistake in a file and haven't saved it yet, git restore discards those local changes and returns the file to its last committed state. For mistakes pushed to the team, git revert safely undoes them by creating a new opposing commit that cancels the error without deleting history. In contrast, git reset deletes previous nodes entirely. Because this destroys history, never use reset on a shared branch. By learning these undo commands, you remove the risk of making a permanent mistake, which allows you to write and test code more confidently. So we have covered the fundamental workflow. Prepare to screenshot the following command list for your daily use. This cheat sheet groups the commands we've discussed into 5 clear categories: setup, local changes, branching, remote actions, and the undo toolkit. Now that you have seen how files move across the 4 zones, you can now use these commands with a clear understanding of exactly what they are doing to your code. If this breakdown was helpful, subscribe for more practical, production-level engineering workflows. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Naveen TechHub Explainer. Today, we are going to completely demystify version control. Look, if you're a junior developer, you might feel totally overwhelmed by what looks like an endless sea of terminal commands. But today, we're tossing out rote memorization. Instead, we're going to fundamentally understand the real-world developer workflow, and we'll do it by building out a highly realistic sample project, our e-commerce data pipeline. We've got a super focused agenda for you today. We'll start with the core Git mental model, then jump into the local development workflow, followed by branching and merging, remote collaboration on GitHub, fixing common developer mistakes, and we'll wrap it all up with an essential Git cheat sheet. Once you understand this flow, Git becomes very simple, breaking down into totally logical phases instead of just a random list of commands you have to memorize. All right, Section 1, the core Git mental model. Let's establish the absolute single most important concept you need to know before you ever type a command. Observe carefully what happens here. This is the whole Git mental model, right here. Your code physically moves through different states. First, you edit files in your working directory. Then, you prep them in the staging area. Kind of think of this as a loading dock. Next, you permanently save them as a snapshot in your local repository, right there on your hard drive. Only after all of that do you push them to GitHub. So your code actually goes through 3 local states before it ever touches the internet. From an interview point of view, remember this difference, because beginners mix these up all the time. Git is the actual command line tool taking the snapshots on your laptop. It works perfectly fine completely offline. GitHub, on the other hand, is a cloud-based website, currently owned by Microsoft, where you share those snapshots with your team to collaborate. Basically, Git is the tool and GitHub is the platform. Let's move to Section 2, Local Development Workflow. Now let me show you with a real example how we start our e-commerce data pipeline project locally and actually move it through those states. First, understand why we need this command. To start a project, you've got to initialize it. The command is git init. For example, running git init ecommerce-data-pipeline internally creates a hidden .git tracking folder. Now, a really common mistake is running this twice inside nested folders. Definitely don't do that. Production tip, run it only once per project. Next, we need to know what actually changed, so we use git status. This acts like your radar, internally comparing your working directory to your index so you can see exactly which files are modified. Don't ignore your untracked files, and honestly, run this constantly to check your state before moving forward. So, why do we need to prep our files? Well, we use git add to move our changes to that staging area we talked about. For example, git add dot stages everything in your current directory. But be careful, adding accidental junk files is a trap. Add your files logically, not just all at once. Next, we actually save our work using git commit. Running git commit-m add base pipeline script permanently saves those staged files into your local time machine. And internally, it generates a unique 40-character SHA-1 hash. A huge mistake here is using vague messages like fixed bug. Treat your commits as logical save points and write out exactly what you fixed. One common mistake beginners make is tracking massive log files, node modules, or worst of all, sensitive database passwords. Always set up a .gitignore file right after your very first commit. Remember, Git tracks history forever. If you accidentally commit a password, it stays in the history even if you delete the file later. Okay, so why do we need to look back in time? Git log shows your local commit history. Running git log -5, for instance, shows your last 5 commits. And hey, if you ever get stuck in that terminal screen, just press Q to quit. It's a very common beginner panic moment. Now, if you want to inspect exact line-by-line code changes before you commit, use git diff. For example, git diff headsum1 compares your working tree to the previous commit. It is absolutely crucial for reviewing your own changes before you save them. Section 3, branching and merging. This is where we build our ability to develop new features safely without ever breaking the main production code. In a real project, this becomes very important. We never work directly on the main branch because it holds our stable production-ready code. Instead, we use git branch. Let's say git branch feature/add analytics. Internally, this creates a totally independent development line. People often forget which branch they're on, so definitely use standard naming conventions. To actually move over there, we need git switch. Running git switch feature/add analytics moves your internal head pointer to the new branch. Just don't switch with uncommitted, dirty files. Always make sure your working directory is clean. Oh, and by the way, switch replaces the older checkout command you might have seen online. This timeline right here visually represents a highly realistic developer workflow. Day 1, you create your branch. Day 2, you spend time making your code changes, staging, and committing. By day 3, you open a pull request, or PR, on GitHub. This is the spot where your senior developers will actually review your code. Finally, on day 4, only after the code is reviewed and approved do you merge it back into the main branch. This really is the heart of professional team collaboration. When you are finally ready to combine your work, you use Git merge. For example, Git merge feature add analytics. Internally, this is going to create a 3-way merge commit. Be careful not to merge the wrong branch. As a strict rule, always merge your features into main, not the other way around. But wait. What happens if 2 developers edited the exact same line in our e-commerce pipeline? Well, Git just halts the merge. That's a merge conflict. Please, whatever you do, do not panic and delete the repository. It's an easy fix. Simply open the file, look for the conflict markers, those arrows and equal signs, decide which code to keep, and then manually add and commit the resolved file. Section 4. Remote collaboration on GitHub. So far, we've only been working locally on our own laptop. But to actually share this e-commerce data pipeline with our team, we need to move to the cloud. If a project already exists on the internet, you use git clone. For example, cloning a GitHub URL. Internally, this copies the entire remote repo locally to your machine. Just don't clone it into a folder that's already a repo. It's absolutely the best way to join an existing project. But if you started the project locally yourself, like we did with our Init command earlier, you have to use git remote. Running git remote add origin, followed by your URL, links your local configuration to that remote server. Beginners misspell that origin URL all the time, so double-check it. This step is absolutely crucial if you initialize locally first. Now, here's a big one. People often think that running git commit instantly sends their code to the internet. It absolutely does not. A commit only saves the snapshot locally to your hard drive. You must explicitly run git push to upload those local commits to the remote server so the rest of your team can actually see what you did. From an interview point of view, remember this difference. They will absolutely ask you this. What is the difference between fetch and pull? Well, git fetch safely downloads remote commits so you can inspect them, but it doesn't touch your working files at all. Git pull, on the other hand, is a 2-step process. It runs a fetch, and then it immediately forces a merge right into your current working branch. Section 5. Fixing common developer mistakes. Look, it happens to everyone. What do you do when you inevitably break your production code or make a local mistake? Let's fix things safely. Imagine you're halfway through writing a super complex pipeline script, and suddenly your manager asks you to urgently fix a bug on the main branch. You definitely aren't ready to commit that messy work. That's where you use git stash. Internally, this pushes your uncommitted changes to a hidden stack, instantly giving you a clean working directory. The biggest mistake is just forgetting what you stashed, but it's fantastic for sudden context switching. When the bug is finally fixed, you come back and run git stash pop. This applies the topmost stash and removes it from the stack. Just be careful not to pop it onto the wrong branch. Observe carefully what happens here, because using the wrong undo command can literally be disastrous. If you just want to discard uncommitted changes in a single file, use restore. If you pushed a bad commit to GitHub and need to undo it without breaking your team's code, use revert. It safely creates a brand new commit that applies the exact opposite changes. But beware of reset. It dangerously erases history by moving the branch pointer backwards. Only ever use reset for local mistakes that you haven't pushed yet. Before we wrap up today, let's look at a few concepts you absolutely must know to pass a junior developer technical interview. If an interviewer asks you about a detached head, you can confidently explain that it happens when you check out a specific historical commit instead of an active branch. If they ask how to combine multiple messy commits into one clean one, your answer is squashing via interactive rebase. And remember, pull requests aren't just a button for merging, they are crucial for discussing code, running automated CI/CD tests, and performing peer reviews. Lastly, merge conflicts, just 2 branches editing the exact same line of a file. Section 6, the essential Git cheat sheet. As promised, here is your high-value summary of everything we've covered today, all in one clean view. This matrix organizes the totally chaotic sea of Git commands into logical categories: setup, changes, commit, branch, remote, undo, and collaboration. Don't memorize Git commands. Understand the workflow. Naveen Tech Hub. Practical tech, real projects, production thinking. Please like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned for more practical explainers on GitHub, DevOps, cloud, data engineering, AI, and software engineering. But before you go, ask yourself, if your laptop crashed right this second, how much of your hard work would be lost forever? Master Git, and you'll literally never have to worry about that again. Catch you in the next one.
Get this video helped you understand Git and GitHub. Subscribe to Naveen Tech Hub and Practical. Keep learning, keep building.